Dear viewers, you are most welcome to the Experts Corner. And today, my name is Veronica Rose. If you've not yet subscribed to this channel, this is the right time. Hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on more of my upcoming sessions. I would like to answer one of the questions that most of you always reach out asking. That is the interview questions that are always asked for certified information systems auditors. And the good news is I wrote an article. I published it on July 21st, 2019. So go through my LinkedIn page under articles, you'll be able to find it. The same article was republished by fuzu.com. So feel free to also check out that site. The article is there. So let me start by giving a brief about the CISA certification. CISA is an acronym for Certified Information Systems Auditor, which is an ISACA certification. The Certified Information Systems Auditor designation is a globally recognized certification for information system audit and control, assurance, and information security professionals. So all you need to know, I'll give you all you need to know about the type of it will depend actually on the type of interview you're going for. But below are some of the questions that you'll encounter during the interview. And what made me write this article is that I had gone for several interviews previously, and these are some of the questions I could encounter. So the information that I'm sharing with you is basically gathered from the oral interviews that I've attended before, the on phone, the meetups, written interviews, online interviews that I've attended. Some I've also encountered with I've conducted interviews with the recruitment agencies, staff of potential employers, and also LinkedIn exchanges. You reach out to someone if you're looking for a job. So that is how I've been able to gather this information. So preparing for a job interview, I know it's not an easy thing, but you have to ace the interview no matter what. So preparing for an interview for an audit job is no different from preparing for any other job interview. So if you keep in mind a few simple facts, you will be able to, of course, answer these questions and ace the interview, of course. And if you're preparing for the interview, I wish you success. So below, these are some of the questions that I've encountered myself. Number one question is tell me about yourself. This is common and it cuts across. So expect it. Describe an audit process at a glance, or describe the audit process. So remember, auditors, we have auditing standards and procedures. So when you're carrying out an audit, of course, you have to follow a particular process. You don't just go, you have to follow a particular process and describe it in depth for the panelist or the interviewer to get a feel that you understand what you're talking about. And then another question is, are you comfortable with working with us? So this means you must have researched about the company that you're interviewing for. Then what are your years of experience? Also uh, explain the years. If you have gaps between your employment, also explain them. There's no problem. And also, are you acquainted with the use of any audit software? So if you have skills in using any of the audit softwares in the market, that is well and good. If not, also say it. Just be honest and open. So how did you get to know about this opportunity? Whether you got the notification through either the website, anywhere you got the the vacancy or advertisement, mention it. And then which year did you join ISACA? Now, most job interviews, actually, if you can notice, they always want someone who is affiliated to a professional body. Myself, I'm affiliated to ISACA, so ensure if you are, mention the professional body and then the year you became a member. And then you'll be asked, how familiar are you with maybe the IPPF standards, the ISACA professional standards? the ISO certification, ISO standards, the ITIL framework and auditing standards. As an auditor, you must be conversant with such types of standards. And then you'll be asked, are you from an accounting, either IT background? This is always asked for systems auditors because they want to have a feel to see, are you only going to audit systems, or will you be able to also handle other kind of audits? Then why should we hire you? This is the time for you to sell yourself. So you have to know what to answer, and then take us through the auditing process, auditing a core banking system. This question mostly comes in when you're auditing with a financial institution or a bank, let me say. So they'll always ask you the process of auditing a core banking system to ensure that you really understand either their corporate settings or how the flow goes. You'll also be asked how the process of auditing a database. So you must be conversant with such things. Then, which of the following outlines the overall authority to perform an IS audit? So they'll also give you some questions where you'll have to choose the best or the most correct answer. So be expectant of that, and also expect some behavioral questions. I've also encountered a question like define the meaning of the term audit universe. So you must be conversant with such terminologies in audit. And then how many years of experience do you have in audit? Then I've also been asked before to describe the difference between man in the middle attack and social engineering. So, of course, you also have to understand the security controls. You also have to understand the cyber security terminologies so that you're all rounded as well. Then they'll also ask you which kind of standard are you familiar with, especially the ISO 27001 standard. Be ensure you know it, and you're aware of it, and you know how it is applicable in your area of expertise, in your area of operations. Then how does a company handle vendor risk management? Of course, vendor risk management is now a problem. It's an IT risk now, and you must be concerned. Then, do you have skills to carry out penetration tests? Some institutions expect an IT auditor or the systems auditor to be able also to audit the systems, especially for internal auditors. So if you have the skill, well and good. If you don't know, be honest. So you'll also be asked in your own experience, who should the CISO of the organization report to? This you'll find instances where the CISO reports to the IT manager or the CIO. So in your experience, you'll have to explain who should the CISO of an organization report to. Because remember, as an auditor, you're also an advisor to the organization. Then as an IS auditor, what would be your main focus when developing a risk-based audit program? So by this at this moment, I'm sure you must be aware of how to develop an audit program. Then during your audit activities, what are the recommendations you issue in in your audit report that are achievable? So you also remember, we are advisors. You have to ensure that of whatever you're recommending, it is even applicable to the environment you're recommending it for. So you'll also be asked, like, after auditing an entity, when would you recommend to use compensating controls? So you must understand the types of controls that we have, and then recommend the control as per the finding. And also remember, you must be also understanding the nature of the business you're dealing with. Then in your previous work engagements, have you had an opportunity to report directly to the board? If you have ever, you can explain the process of how you used to do it. If you have not been reporting directly to the board, also explain your structure. Then describe the difference between money in the middle. Oh, I talked about this earlier, and social engineering. Okay, I've encountered it so many times. Maybe that's why it even appeared here twice. And then have you managed a team of more than 5 auditors before? So sometimes if you're maybe when you're interviewing for a managerial position, you'll be asked if you've managed a team before. Then what risks are associated with deploying a core banking system which will be hosted on cloud? So also be conversant with cloud security and cloud requirements. Then you'll also be asked, what would you do if the audit client rejects your findings in the report? This is very common, but as an auditor, you know what to answer because you always use facts to come up with a very comprehensive report. Then, how often are your acceptable use policies reviewed and updated at your current organization? Of course, you're the one who recommends the timelines at which these policies should be reviewed, and you should be able to answer such a question. Then also you'll also encounter common questions like what are your strengths, what keeps you motivated at your job, how do you manage pressure at work, how conversant are you with agile audits, expect such things. Also, which operating system are you familiar with? You'll be asked what is your salary expectation, what is your current salary. You'll also be asked how do you manage conflict among peers. So expect such questions. And then also watch out for behavioral questions as well. Then I also have encountered this one that as an IS auditor, identify 680 risks in financial institutions and recommend their mitigation strategies. So prepare for that as well. Then you'll also be asked where your passion is, what are your hobbies, when are you available to join our team. You know, they'll need to know how, like the notice you'll give to your current employer. When are you expected to join them? And then if it is on short notice, maybe are you willing to travel? If you're not, what are the reasons? Just be honest when you're in an interview. Then there'll also there are some questions that you may think are out of the box, but you may encounter them. May have encountered this one, like if you met our CEO, what will you have to tell him concerning the risks surrounding our business? So they expect you to must have researched about the company and then the industry itself. What are the challenges in that particular industry? So research, and have an understanding of the nature of the business and the company you are interviewing with. And then I've also encountered another question like during an audit of an organization's BCP and GRP, which areas will you most likely review? So have an understanding of the BCP, all the contents that are found in the BCP, you must be aware of them, and the DRP, I mean the disaster recovery plan. So ensure you have knowledge on all these, and also the skills to develop this kind of documentations. Then you'll also be asked, would you prefer to work in a team or alone? You'll encounter different questions dependent on the interviewee and the entity you're interviewing for, but I'm sharing what I've encountered before. So recently, remember 2018, the Global Data Protection Regulation was enacted. So expect questions also surrounding data privacy. And last question that you'll always find will be like, do you have any questions for us? Always have questions for the panelists or the interviewers. Always have some questions to ask these people as well. So that means and at least you had prepared for the interview. So in a nutshell, I'll end this by saying that bearing in mind the nature of industry or business where the interviewer is asking or coming from, the answers to most of the questions that I've shared with you may differ from interviewee to interviewee. So, however, the most important idea is to refer to ISACA professional standards and requirements for a CISA designation, and also use professional judgment when attempting some questions, because some of them you have the experience and you understand the industry well. So you may mention something that maybe the interviewer or your employer or the person who is willing to take you in is wishing to have. So use professional judgment as well when you're answering some of these questions. So I hope you benefited from this session, and hoping to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you haven't yet subscribed, subscribe to this channel, I have more in stock for you, and let's learn together and let's work smart. Thank you and have a good day.